Some caught the deaths of loved ones from the words of doctors, and some got the news being far away from them. But it wasn't my case. I survived my mother's death being by her side. She had a lung cancer, which I was told in the last months of her life. She refuses to go to the hospital because she wanted to be home with her loved ones, with us, with me and my sister. I didn't really understand that she was dying. I had a feeling that she was about to get better, like she had a illness or common flu. When it starts with a normal fever and then it gets worse for a day or 2 months. And then the body overcomes the disease and the person gets better before your eyes. And that's what I thought. But my mom was getting worse by hour. She was losing her face, that redness in her face. She would fall asleep and wake up, and that's how the body was trying to recover. I didn't understand because it looked like she was getting better soon. And some people say that numbers are a technical thing, unemotional, unhuman, but I couldn't say that in that time. The only connection by which I could understand my mom was this device that measured the oxygen level in her body. It was an ordinary device with only one number. Normally, the oxygen level in a healthy body is at 95 and 99%. So this is the signal that every cell in the body is getting energy to work. But when cells don't get enough oxygen, they die out and can no longer support human life. Going back to those days, her body was losing oxygen. And because the cancer was developing in the lungs, it was paralyzing one of her major organs, the lungs, although what organ in our body isn't necessary. At first, the figure was at 90. Uncritical, really. Not critical if there's no downward trend, like 80, 79, 78, 76, 74. Sometimes the level went up, and at those moments I felt like recovery was near. Like, that's here. Here's the signal that everything was going to be okay. And sometimes my mother would wake up and talk to me about simple things and not about illness. I would talk to her and she would go back to sleep, and my sister and I monitor her oxygen levels. 70, 69, 68. It was dropping very slowly but steadily. But as it happens, you never believe in a bad outcome and try to do your best. So we got oxygen tanks to oxygenate her system, and didn't last long. So her levels was dropping, and we needed more oxygen to keep her body full, and my sister was busy with that, and I was there for my mother, just monitor that level and see that she's still alive. And sometimes people close to us came to my mother, her brother, friends, and actually there was no hope in their eyes. It felt like they were saying goodbye forever, but they didn't believe it could happen either. And time is never the same. It's like in happy moments it pulls incredibly fast, in moments of anxiety it freezes, and it's actually hard to describe the time in waiting for death or living the illness of your loved ones. Like, time really vanishes, like all the processes around you stop and you're completely in a vacuum in a room. And there's no people rushing to work, no rocket launch into space, no natural disasters, and there's no your life. It just fades into background. And after a while, we found this specific medical machine that would supply oxygen to her body, to her system, continuously without any interruption, like every minute. But that only prolonged her life by a couple of hours, and the oxygen went down to 50, down to 30, and at some point to this critical 15. And then it dropped to 0. It's hard to describe what I felt, but my sister near me was crying. Like, you could really tell that she was in shock and she couldn't believe our mom was gone. And I couldn't say that I felt the same. Like, of course I was crying, I was sad, I was in so much pain, I wasn't hurt. But I didn't understand what to do. Like, I understood that this number went down to 0, but at the same time, I saw my mom. There she is, just lying on the couch, and it was like she was asleep. It's hard to describe, but for some people, their whole life collapses, and some people feel the presence of death people, like they feel them, they talk to them, they're like around them. But all that's left for me is just thoughts and memories about my mom. I didn't feel her around. And the most frustrating thing is that I was 15 years old and I understood that these memories and moments with my mom that would fade with time. And now that I'm 20 years old, I can say that they really have faded. And you try to hold on to them, but it's impossible. It's just nature. And I can't answer the question of what death is to me, but it's definitely a feeling of loneliness and the impossibility of having any impact. There's no ability to do something. You just accept it and go and live it.